Welcome to a new Descifrando la Guerra interview. We are today with a special guest, Benny Wenda. He's one of the independence of West Papua leaders. And with Oridek Up, is one of the representatives in the European Union. Okay, so thanks for your attendance. First of all, we want to talk about the organization and the interim government. You were appointed in 2017, right? So my first question is about it. Why do you consider yourself as a president? What is the correlation of political forces that gave you the legitimacy?
Yes, West Papua, we have three main political organizations, namely United WPNGL, WPGL, and Parliament National Papua, and one is a Federal Republic. So the three main political party in West Papua become united. 50 years we never unite because Indonesia using that advantage of the divided and conquer and divided and rule. So first time we realized that we have to unite to achieve our goal, because without unity you cannot achieve. And Indonesia using this is a handful of people trying to divide, but we unite. In 2014 we formed United Liberation Movement. First time ever in our history, supported by Vanuatu government, become co-sponsor of the unity. Since then, 2015, we apply membership of the Melanesia Spear Group. They are accepted us as an observer. Of course, our colonial master Indonesia associate member. So since then, we feel that confident. In 2017, upgrade our organizations to upgrade our status as a chairman and become a chairman of the United Liberation Movement. And then 2020, West Papua Council passed our constitutions first time. We have many factions have their own constitution, but because of unity, important that this is serious, and we have to unite, and we have formed the provincial governments after adopting our constitutions. And then 2020 we announced our provincial government. That constitution allowed me to announce our provincial government. And then we announced in May, we announced the cabinet. Mm-hmm. And then last year in Glasgow, we announced our vision, Green State vision. So we have all complete. So this is in order to reject Indonesia illegal occupation in West Papua. We not obey the Indonesians' rule in West Papua, our territory. We have our own constitution, we have our government, we have a vision, we have a cabinet, mm-hmm. We have legislative, executive, and also we have a Prime Minister, Edison Waromi, in West Papua. He's lead the cabinet in West Papua. So I'm interim president in exile, because many president or many leader have been killed before. Mm-hmm. So now we use promote our cause, and we're ready to engage with them regionally, internationally, with anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting, because I want to know what is the real support you have on the ground there in West Papua, because you both live outside of the country, right?
Yes, our people, all the leaders inside, mm-hmm. Was three leaders formed the United Liberation, signed the memorandum of understanding back in 2014. They're all inside West Papua. We are working as a team. So then our people are behind it. So that's why we confidently to tell the world we're ready to engage mm-hmm. with anybody.
Do you support any kind of armed struggle for achieve the independence?
It used to 90, 70, 60, 70, 80, and 2000. Under my leadership at the time in West Papua, back in West Papua, we approached peacefully way to engage with the Indonesian government, but they don't like it and they arrest me, and they put me in the prison almost 25 years. They want to kill me. I managed to run away, so now I'm in exile. So this is the flag that's forbidden in West Papua. If you're holding this flag, I ended up in prison because of this flag 25 years. So Indonesia don't like the peacefully way to engage. They don't like. So that's why now we're ready to engage anybody.
So you could support some armed struggle if it's necessary for the process?
I think armed struggle, yes, I'm not denying. There is our guerrilla fighter. I call them home guard. They are defending their right because there is no way to escape, no way to run away. Indonesia well equipped modern weapon. My people, they just use a bow and arrow and axe and just defend their land, their right, and their forest and their mountain. So I cannot deny that is. But now we want to approach a peacefully way, engage with the international community. That's what our position now.
What have you achieved since 2017 diplomatically?
Yes, we already engaged regionally. We are a member of the Melanesia Sphere Group. And Indonesia is associate member. We're already sitting with Indonesia face to face. They never bring the solution to that issue on the table, Melanesia table. But we offer, talking about human rights situation, they not. And after that, we become member. Now we lobby to Pacific Island Forum to adopt the resolution to the 18 countries in the Pacific. And now they call UN High Commissioner visit West Papua. And secondly, from not only that, but we're moving to international ORCP organization or Africa, Caribbean, Pacific. They also adopt their resolution. From there, also we got 84 countries demand United Nations to visit West Papua because current situation in West Papua. 60,000 West Papua displaced its own land. 400 West Papua already died 2018 up to now. This is why it's urgent action are calling for all the country. In fact, that in the Spanish government led by Senator Gorka passed the resolution motion, and I hope that the government continue to support that visit.
Let's continue with you, Orite. What is the strategy you think you must follow to achieve the independence? For example, unilateral declaration of independence, or an agreement with Jakarta, or continue with the armed struggle?
Like our president said, we have our elders, we have our defenders of our land. But we have changed our strategy. We believe that we should follow the political ways. But as every people in the world, we have the right to self-determination, but we have also the right to self-defense. So, of course, that's the right of every people. But the best way to achieve our political goal is through diplomacy. And as you know, Indonesia is a great military power. It will be almost suicidal to have a military approach. So that's one thing from our West Papuan side. But we believe that through diplomacy we can achieve more, and that is already proven, because we managed to gain a lot of political support in our region, in Melanesia, in Pacific, but also in Africa, Caribbean, and in Europe. So, yeah, it's a better way than what our elders used to, what they've tried. But they never had the support what we now have achieved. So.
And what relationship do your movement have with the other political force, the Free Papua movement?
That's our background. We are also from Free West Papua movement. Mm-hmm. That's our background. When I say our elders, I meant them. Mm-hmm. His elders are OPM. My elders are also OPM. But we chose to unite with the other two fractions, because we believe that we should unite to achieve our independence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, political groups were united, as you said, in 2014, and you were appointed as president in 2017. And there was another reunion with the military arms that was took place in 2019. But some of that groups refused. This is an unified force.
Yeah, that's because some of them uses the social media to protect their own position, but actually behind the scene, when all the elders are united, mm-hmm. These young generals, okay, but the elders are united, and that's the most important thing. At some point, the truth will come out. People will know that there's only one West Papuan army. Mm-hmm. We are not talking anymore about sporadic military attacks. No.
Yeah, I think maybe I added on that. So, we have three factions have our own military unit, mm-hmm. like federal, and three factions we unite. All the military will come together. 2018, mm-hmm. we announced the West Papua Army. So yes, of course, every struggle there is every factions, but if somebody using the name of West Papua Army, so different faction, but everybody already unites. So every individual can do that with the social media, but everybody already unites. So that is a propaganda doing by Indonesia. We not believe mm-hmm. that's through social media, but our people already unite, and that is already a signed agreement, memorandum of understanding. Back in 2018, so that now everyone who acts on the either individual, that's all West Papua Army. We want to peacefully engage with Indonesia government. The Indonesia is using here the propaganda, almost $300,000 paid to operate propaganda message on the social media. We know that investigate by BBC, so that's fact. And up to now, but we believe we already unite. That's why we will ready to engage anybody, including Indonesia. That's why I request the President of Indonesia sit down with me, talk about withdraw the military, talk about right to self-determination people of West Papua. If the people of West Papua choose stay with Indonesia, it's fine, but if you want to independent, it's fine. Most important, we talk the solution. We are not talking about confrontation, but the solution. That any movement in the world, including this country, also have a lot of experience.
Yeah.
That is why we are rightful to be here, and this house. This is the starting point.
So you claim the United Liberation Movement of West Papua have actual control over all of the three military groups?
Yes.
On the West Papua Army.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what is your strategy regarding Indonesia and the process of independence in the future?
Yes, we already independent country in 1960. Back in 1960, we already have independent. We have already, but our independence stolen just few days and stolen by Indonesia. This is from one colonial power to ended of another colonial power. So Indonesia claim our territory illegal. There's a full stop, no question. That's why Indonesia don't want to come to table to talk about self-determination. Legal argument, political argument, they're completely lost. They're just trying to convince the world and European Union
that we are developing infrastructure. You cannot build the infrastructure on top of the suffering. No. So we ready. We have our own constitution. We have our own, parliaments and legislative, judicative, executive. So we're ready. So that's why I'm confident to tell the world.
So do your strategy go through a referendum?
That is why we are demanding Indonesia, because the Indonesia call and Big Power call 1969, the referendum. There is no referendum in West Papua. How come 800,000 population, just 1 in 20? For example, people in Catalonia or any country, like they represent like 500, just one person chose to vote for on behalf of the Catalonian or Basque country or Madrid. That is not a referendum. It's meant to one man, one vote. Didn't happen. That's why it's a fraud. And yes, the Indonesia claimed that United Nations recognize the sovereignty, but United Nations just took the no, never endorsed. That's why they're scared of.
How would you avoid in an eventual referendum it could happen the same as in 1969 when Indonesia chose the voters for the referendum?
We already proved that. 2017, our people vote 1.8 million, 1.8 already vote. I deliver to UN High Commissioner Michel Bachelet in Geneva already. Mm-hmm. This is the big books like this. So people already vote. And I'm confident that when the referendum comes, people will 100% the vote for independence. And that is a proof. That's why Indonesia is scared.
Okay.
Maybe if I can add, if there's another referendum coming to West Papua, it needs to be a supervised vote, supervised by the UN. So there's some criteria we need to have to safeguard our right.
Yeah.
I think so. Supervised.
Yes. We have 2016. We announced the international supervised vote in the British Parliament. How they are, because at the back in 1969, nobody knows. They just handpicked by gunpoint. But now the technology and now this, we demand the United Nations international supervise put in place, withdraw the military, and give the people opportunity to choose their own destiny. That's what our demand.
Talking about the region, do you have any explicit support for the independence of West Papua in the Asia Pacific or Oceania region?
Actually, we have some friends, civil society friends in the Philippines and Japan. So it's a starting point. Or Malaysia also, not that many, but it's a starting point. And we believe that when we get the chance to meet people in Asia and they understand, they will support us. We even this few 3-4 years. Even our Indonesian friends are, willing to risk their career, risk their life, just to defend our rights. So when we are able to convince the Indonesian brothers and sisters, of course we can convince the whole Asia, of course. But we should focus on the Indonesian people themselves, because even the Indonesian people doesn't understand. Mm-hmm. Why we Papuans we want to be free. All this year they doesn't understand that the pain my people are feeling, the suffering. For more than 60 years they treated our people as subhuman, and it became known to the world after the uprising in 2019. That's because the Indonesian military forces with some militia groups, they were so clever enough to record themselves yelling, threatening our students, calling them monkeys, and so on. And it went viral. And our people they got angry. It's not new, but because it was viral, our people got angry. Because they say, all these years you come into our house, into our kitchen, you take everything, and we did nothing to you, and you dare to call us monkey. So since then, our people say, okay, if we are monkey, don't come and steal our gold, don't come and steal our trees, or just go back to your human land. So, it's not something new. We believe that we can convince the whole Asia. If they know what is happening in West Papua, they will understand and they will support. But the thing is, West Papua is closed for the outside world. For 60 years, no media attention, no support from a humanitarian organization. There could have been a support, but it's banned in West Papua. So, but that's why we think the best way to convince the world is by peaceful ways. And we have used music and storytelling for many years before we sit down here as leaders of our people. We have used music to campaign, and by storytelling, we managed to find friends, and we could have, they could have contacted the MPs or, senates, you name it. But we believe that if the world know us, they will understand our pain, they will understand our suffering, and they will understand our struggle. And when they understand, they will support. I don't know, but that's.
Are you receiving some support from the European Union and the Netherlands?
Like I said, Netherlands, for the first time in 50 years, they are willing to talk openly about supporting a UN mission to West Papua. That's the first time in 50 years, and I've been lobbying since the beginning of 2000, in and out the building, in and out the ministry and at the Dutch Parliament. But the answers was always the same, always reluctant and carefully written. But change has come, and it was also thanks to the motion from Senator Gorka. So this is, the story about David and Goliath. Mm-hmm. You just need a small brick to defeat a big enemy. So that was a small brick that we see as a possibility to kill the oppressor.
Yeah.
So that's happening. That's happening right now. But it's not it's not clear yet for other peoples. But we, as Papuans, we believe that. And our people, when they saw the motion they prayed. They prayed silently, or they prayed in secret, because right now, as I speak, even prayers are not allowed. When we say and we call our people openly in the social media to come and pray for certain meeting or political victory, they will come and disturb. They will stand outside with guns and military cars. Mm-hmm. So that's the reality in West Papua.
Do you support the protest that took place in Indonesia against the autonomy law for West Papua?
Yes, of course, we support the protest. Our people is against that law.
Even in Jakarta, I mean.
Even in Jakarta, but those are the friends who are willing to sacrifice their lives, their career, to defend our right, to defend our people. So, of course, we support. We have never supported the special autonomy law from the beginning.
Yeah.
They gave us that so-called special autonomy because we were demanding, early 2000, we were demanding Merdeka, independence. Mm-hmm. So that's why they gave us this little bag of candies, for people to eat and forget about what's, they give a little piece of meat, but actually we have the right. It's our country. Mm-hmm. But
Well, Vanuatu has been hosting some summits with politics from West Papua for these years. How is your relationship with the government, even when they change recently?
Yeah, I think the Vanuatu, one of the founding father called Father Watsolini, he stated that Vanuatu not free if other Melanesian not free, including New Caledonia, Vanuatu, West Papua. So that principle holding by all the community, all the Vanuatu people. So the governments from the opposition and the government, they all support because they believe in justice and freedom, and they also fought the independence from the British and their friends. So they are believe, and we have good relation with the Vanuatu. They are constantly supporting us for this until today, and they believe in freedom and liberty for their brothers.
And how is your relationship with the Melanesian Spearhead Group? Because you are willing to become a full member of this organization. So how is this process? How is this process going? Do you want to become an associated member as Indonesia or a party like the Kanak one?
We entitled to become a full member because the Melanesia principle, the Melanesia form is for the Melanesian people, not the other, not the outsider. So Melanesia principle is, liberate all the Melanesia who are under the colonial rule. That is the principle of the Melanesia Spear Group. Indonesia there because of West Papua. Mm-hmm. So we are the full member. So at the moment we associate observer, Indonesia associate member, but we are entitled to become a full member, just like New Caledonia. Mm-hmm. So Indonesia is up to the government, but we aim is full member. That is our place. And by blood, we are the Melanesia. By culturally, linguistically, we are entitled to be full member. Not Indonesia. Indonesia is different culturally. It's not connected to the Melanesia.
What role can Spearhead Group play for the independence for Papuan movement?
I think Melanesian leaders capable to handling the current situation in the region. For example, Papua New Guinea, small, newly independent country. That's why Indonesia should learn from the Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea can deal with the Bougainville issue. Mm-hmm. They're given the freedom to choose their own destiny, which is their whole referendum. And Kanak, they have a referendum 3 times now, that the friends willing to give the independent opportunity to choose their own destiny. They have a referendum. But it didn't succeed, but hopefully they will continue. So that is why we see that Melanesian leaders are capable to dealing with the such issue. So that's why I'm encouraging Indonesia to learn that same thing. They have obligation to give opportunity to West Papua choose your own destiny. That's what earlier I already said. Whether West Papua want to be free or independent, at least they have the opportunity to choose their own destiny.
How did you see the process of Bougainville, as you have mentioned? Because Papua New Guinea is going to wait until at least 2027 for the real independence of Bougainville. Do you support this process?
Absolutely, because that is the commitment from the government of Papua New Guinea, because that's why now they have already a referendum, but they have to amend a certain law in the parliament. That's why negotiations are going. I think they will, there's their own brother, so it's much solved the issue Melanesian way, we call Melanesian way. They're already dealing.
So you support the process of independence of another...
Absolutely, yes.
Like the Chuk experience in Micronesia?
Yes, absolutely.
That's their right.
They're right. They're already a referendum anyway. They just process.
Mm-hmm. Okay. In the case of an independent West Papua, what would be your geopolitical preferences in the area? You would be up to some Chinese investments, as you said in last year, or maybe, as you told in 2020, to Australia and New Zealand to think twice about the securing of West Papua. Is that some kind of proposal to Australia and New Zealand to counter Chinese influence?
Look, we are on principle. We have our own constitution. We welcome anybody who are offered to support us. We are not aligned in the future, long run, because we need everybody to support. Even anyone can offer to liberate our people desire to independence. That's what we welcome. So we're not in line with a particular country, but we welcome everybody who want to support, because our people are suffering very long time, nearly 60 years. We are discriminated our own land. So we want to free. We want to see our people who are living in exile, who are living in the bush, they come to West Papua, sit down with the family reunion. We want to see that. That is our mission. We welcome anybody who want to offer the support.
So you are open to Chinese recognition or relationships, or would you prefer to have ties with Taiwan?
We as I mentioned, either U.S. or European Union or China or Taiwan, anybody want to support, we welcome, because we believe that we have resources, everything, but we need the political support that we are looking for.
But some of them are incompatible.
Absolutely, that's the view of the political analyst. But our point of view, we are welcome, because even devil come to help us to rescue our people. We welcome devil too. That's kind of thing that we are our view. Yes. We suffer a long time. World ignored. Anybody want to support, welcome. That's our position.
When in our way to independence, even to talk with the devil, we will talk with the devil. Or with the angels, we will talk with the angels. But when we gain independence, we have a vision, like our president has said. We have a vision of tomorrow for West Papua. We call it the Green State Vision of West Papua. So we will work with any partners who support our vision. If you don't support our vision, we don't need to work with you, because this is something what we promise our people, and we want to we want to establish our own home according to our own values and norms. So if you support our Green State Vision, we will talk with you. But if you don't support our vision and you want to impose your thing, okay, we will think about it. But at this moment, we have a vision, and when we achieve our independence, of course, we will talk with everybody who is willing to build our house with understanding of our Green State Vision. I think that's something you can look it up on the internet. We have launched our vision during the COP26, and it's our message to the world. We have something to share with the world, and we call it the Green State Vision. So when we say the world, we mean really the world. We don't choose a side. We don't choose one of the two giants, or we don't choose.
Well, it's not necessary to choose a side, but there are some countries in the region that are leading the independence process, like Fiji does with Australia. So I guess you prefer everyone recognizing your country as independent, but you'll have to choose some partners for investments.
Absolutely, Australia and New Zealand is a closer, because we have a historical connection with Australia, because Second World War, our people are become frontline, guarding the invasion of the Japanese. That is sacrifice all the New Guinea people. So there's moral obligation there already. But at this point, we are seeking for wider international recognize our call for independence, self-determination. That's our position.
Okay, and how would you prefer to have the relationship with Papua New Guinea? For example, an association, or a union, a federal union, a confederation, or simply neighborhood?
In by blood, that's our very close brother. That's our brother. Only borders separate one another. But we already in Melanesia Spear Group. It's a federation of the Melanesia. We already in. So we don't need to make another, federation or associate, but we already. So all Melanesia is our brother. It's not by blood we are brother. So when West Papua independent is more powerful in the regions, and we, good relation with the Melanesia, Micronesia, Polynesia, including Asia, including Indonesia, will be good neighbor. Indonesia now, you see something hiding, like someone, hiding something, and someone want to find out what you're hiding. They're trying to hide the many ways, but world is finding out, and one day we will good neighbor with Indonesia. We are not against the ordinary Indonesian, but the system are imposed to us, and the military who are imposed against us. So that's what our position.
Mm-hmm. And finally, do you consider the French or British possession in the Pacific Ocean as already colonized territories? Do you think there must be independent?
Absolutely. You see in the Pacific mostly the British colony, and half is in France, and this is colonized by these two powerful countries in Europe, and their moral obligation to support our call, because West Papua it's a gatekeeper. You know what gatekeeper? Because we are the biggest in the rest of the Pacific country. We are the biggest in front line facing this situation. So people thought this colonials and colonialism, imperialism in Europe or in Africa, but it's happening in the Pacific. Nobody knows. That's why the world and Europe are beginning, particularly young generation, are finding out through the social media, through internet. So hopefully this will trigger attention to support our call for independence.
Okay, so thank you to Benny Wenda and Orite Cap for attending us and for answering our questions.
You're welcome.
And thank you for the viewers for watching us. Muchas gracias por vernos a todos y nos vemos en la próxima.